MCU fans, it's Moonknight time. New series, Disney Plus. Here to talk a little bit about it.
And as we were discussing earlier, finally a series that, just the first episode, but a really good first episode, and it's kind of making up for some of the lackluster ones we've seen in the last little bit here, and it's kind of got me excited.
A little bit outside the box. A different character. One of my favorite characters. I've loved Moon Knight since I first started reading comics. It's kind of one of my first comics series that I actually got into, and um, it's a different character. As if anybody's seen it, this first episode, split personality, right?
And going into the series, I knew nothing about Moon Knight other than what some people have told me.
Mm-hmm.
Some have described him as kind of a Batman-like character. I'm not seeing that at all yet, and I don't know enough about the series or anything like that or the comic. But yeah, the whole split personality thing, the way they started it off, the character of was it
Stephen Grant.
Stephen Grant, just not what I was expecting.
No.
Oscar Isaac is one of those actors who can pull off characters like this.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit mysterious, a little bit comedic, a little bit out there, and it was something so different from all the other series that we've seen so far.
Well, he's and the funny part about his character, the Stephen Grant character, being kind of a nerdy gift shop museum worker, and that's exactly what he is. He's just kind of reserved and a little bit different, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then we see obviously they allude right off the bat to uh, he's suspecting things are happening.
Yeah.
He's tied himself into his bed. He's put sand around it to see if there's any footprints. Tapes up his door.
Yeah.
All these little intricacies that he knows something's off.
Yeah, he's waking up in strange places and wondering how did he get there.
And
Yeah,
from what I understand, like from what I got out of this series, like so far in the first episode, is like he thinks that maybe some of them are dreams.
Yeah.
He's maybe alluding to maybe they're dreams because they're pretty messed up. And then he wakes up back in his own bed.
well, and it's interesting because he doesn't know that he has the split personality disorder, and that's an interesting part about it. And I think one half of his split personality knows all about everything, and the other half doesn't know.
Have a clue. He's clueless.
Clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what, like we haven't seen it, the Moon Knight character fully. We saw him kind of at the end when he appeared, right? And so you have this scenario, like he is kind of like Batman. I always like to think that when comics were coming out back and Batman's being written and Superman's being written, you have that different company that's writing something similar because they're kind of stealing ideas from each other, right? So I think when they went to write Moon Knight, it was like, hey, we need our own Batman, but let's do something different with it.
Very much different twist on it.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I like the way he's very much oblivious, like you said, to the other personalities until he's missing a couple days there.
Yes, and then he starts to suspect something's really wrong, and finds the phone.
Yeah.
If we're kind of going to talk a little bit out of order here, but finds that phone and kind of scrolls through and is like, what is this? And
yeah, sees the list of names and
yeah,
well, basically all one name except
Layla,
for except for one other.
Yeah, Deschamps there, who we obviously haven't seen him, but he's a pretty major character in the comics. Kind of a best friend, if you will, to Marc Spector, who is the mercenary part of he is Marc Spector. That's who he is, right? And so his character, the friend there, Deschamps, is his kind of best friend, his cohort, pilot, chauffeur, you name it, just always being his go-to guy to help him out, right? So
and we haven't seen him yet.
We haven't seen him yet. So interesting if we do see him in the series.
I'm assuming we will, with his name being in there. We're gonna see.
I would think so.
Yeah, if it's a major character in the comics, they probably end up showing up in this. And,
yeah.
We were talking earlier as well. Another well-known actor.
Yeah.
Making basically his comic book movie debut, and Ethan Hawke, and he's playing
Arthur Harrow, and now his character is Dr. Arthur Harrow in the comics, but definitely a little bit of different take on him. So interesting to see where they go with him. And I don't know how it's definitely so far from that take from what I know of the comics is definitely not very similar.
So would he be considered the villain then, or is he?
Yeah, I think yes, I think so pretty much because if they're kind of putting him as off of another Egyptian type deity or a god, then yeah, he would be kind of an evil character. I think there's probably going to be, if I'm just speculating, there's going to be something else going on.
Something bigger.
Yeah, I think so. And as we get going on, he's having these visions. He's a little bit terrified, to Stephen Grant, and he's seeing a weird bird-headed figure.
Well,
right?
and he's just popping in and out of these other realities, or exactly what it is. But even like you're seeing like the car chase scene where he's getting chased in the I guess it's like a hauling van or whatever.
Oh yeah, that muffin van. Or
Yeah, yeah, and then he's kind of popping in and out of his personalities. Mark's trying to take over to save him.
Yeah.
It's really weird what they're doing and how they're doing it, but
it flip out, right?
Yeah,
like,
and they're not really showing anything other than after the fact. He's basically saved him, and he wakes back up and he's like, what the hell happened?
Like when he beat all those guys up,
yeah.
he's just standing there.
He's like, oh, whoops, he's trying to give back that, I guess it was an Egyptian artifact or whatever.
Right?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, take it. And then his other personality wasn't allowing it. It was a very different take and something obviously we haven't seen anything quite like this in any of the Marvel movies. And I like the fresh take on this. I like having a fresh new character like this.
Well, and all the other characters in the Marvel universe seem to be fairly in control, right? And whereas I think in this take you get a character that's a little bit out of control, and so you're hearing the voice who's talking to him is Khonshu, is the moon god.
That's the voice that he's hearing.
Yeah, that's who he's hearing. It's not, and he's like, let us take over. Let Mark. Take over,
he's always doing let Mark take over.
Yeah, and it's like, and so he's the moon god, and the little backstory, if people don't know Moonknight, Marc Spector, a mercenary, was helping out, find some treasure, trying to loot something kind of deal, and he was protecting, and he got double crossed, and he was killed. So at the foot of the Khonshu, the moon god statue, right, and so then he brings him back to life and gives him these powers, and so he's kind of a servant of vengeance, basically, right? Okay. So that's kind of how that rolls. It's so supernatural, right? And I think this series is probably going to tie into your Blade, your Ghost Rider, possibly the Black Knight from the Eternals.
Okay.
So that's how you're going to get that supernatural element and tie these kind of a little bit darker characters, I think, into the MCU.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they were going to tie in because I know the Blade's supposed to be part of this.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see a lot of characters popping in now, possibly.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know how everything tied together because once again, I like actually going into some of these shows blind.
Oh, yeah.
And not knowing anything about the characters.
Sorry for spoiling that.
No, it's good, and it probably helps the people who are watching too. Like, just call it spoilers, but that's the history of the comics. It's not to say that Marvel's going to do it that way.
That's exactly
because they've always done their own take on everything. Yeah. They've always had their own twist, but it's also nice to have a little bit of the backstory. But I like going in maybe if I have a little bit of the information, but in this case, I know very little about it, so I can just sit back and enjoy what they're throwing at me. And if the first episode is any indication, it's going to be a great series. Hopefully, we'll get more of the same going forward.
Oh yeah, like in first look of it, I really enjoyed the episode, and I'm thinking it is fresh. Yeah, it's different. It's like, okay, this character is. I mean, it doesn't hurt that I like Moon Knight as a character, and I've always been a fan. But to see it kind of so far, what I've seen from the first episode, it's translating, and I like that. And I was thinking, how do you translate a crazy, kind of different character? I don't want to use the word crazy, but just a character with some mental issues, and how do you translate it onto the screen to make it like good? And it's so far so good first episode. I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah, like I said earlier on, like it's nice. It's a nice fresh take.
Yeah.
Especially considering the other television series that we got from Disney with the MCU. We were discussing, for the most part, they've all been decent, but are they rewatchable? WandaVision started off everything so great, and I thought that the series have gotten progressively kind of weaker. Loki was the other one, was kind of a highlight for me, but Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't, as good as I hoped,
Yeah.
and neither Hawkeye definitely wasn't for me. But this just brings up another level.
Well, yeah, like you're right though. Like WandaVision started out high, and then we had was what Loki next, or was it Falcon Winter Soldier? I can't remember, but yeah, kind of you're
Falcon
right.
Winter Soldier.
It kind of got a little bit weaker as it went along, and then now if you're on Moon Knight and you're back up again, I'm like, well, that's great.
And I read the director of this series or producer. No, I guess Feige would have been the producer, but was saying that he is really hoping this does well, and that he really wants to push for a Moon Knight movie. And just based on what I'm seeing right here, once they get it established, I think that this could be a character that could be a pretty cool movie.
I think so, and I mean, I'm like, just look at his costume. Moon Knight's costume is awesome.
We haven't get to see that much of it, but it does look cool. Like they did it, awesome. They did a great job of it. Like,
it looked great. And one thing I was reading was interesting about people are complaining about Oscar Isaac's accent, and they're like, "Oh, it didn't sound English." Well, yeah, because he's faking it. I'm like, it's perfect. He's not supposed to sound like he's like he doesn't.
His actual character is not English.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's great. I mean, like, so things like that. I mean, I think Oscar Isaac is a fantastic actor. He's just being able to kind of pull the different.
There's no doubt he's a good actor. Yeah. Like they're like the guy, is pulling off this role. Like you see him in any role he's been in, other than maybe the Star Wars movies, and where unfortunately he was cast in a potentially good character. They just didn't give him enough to work with. Oh. But everything he's done and put out, he's been great in.
Well, yeah, and I think once we get a chance to see him do the Marc Spector side of the personality, maybe we're gonna see some good stuff.
And I'm hoping for that too. Like I said, like going forward, I'm hoping that the episodes stay as strong or stronger than this one, because then this will be a really good series.
Oh yeah, and I'm curious with Ethan Hawke's character, where that's gonna go.
Even in his limited a little bit of time that he's been in the show, there's just something mysterious the way he's playing it, and kind of a little bit creepy in a way.
Oh, for sure.
So it's I like the way they're doing this. It just has a different feel for everything else.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I was reading about talking about Ethan Hawke was saying that this is the most creative freedom he's had to do with the role. So he said that the MCU or the Marvel guys gave him and Oscar Isaac
some leeway
to do what they wanted to kind of like work with the scenes.
And I like when they do that, because it gives them, like you said, it's creative freedom. Let the guys kind of find their niche and create that character.
Yeah.
I think they're better off doing that rather than trying to pigeonhole it into a certain comic booky type. Because when you push it to the these movies into just being exactly what you think the comic should be, it kind of makes it like one-dimensional.
That's right.
And like so far, like you said, like the little things with his accent and little things like that, it makes the show when people, I like the fact that people are complaining about it. I actually like that, because like you said, if he's creating this character who isn't English and he's doing a bad accent on purpose, that's just genius.
And it just makes it okay. This guy has a split personality. He's a little bit messed up. He's not exactly who he should be, right? Yeah. And I think that's the great part about it. So I like going forward. I'm really looking forward to. I can't wait to see another episode. I'm like, I need another one. And so almost like wish you could binge watch the whole series, but something satisfying about waiting for a week to watch the next episode.
I honestly like the fact now that just the way they're doing it, that they do force them out every week. It does. It's old school, like what we grew up on in television. Mm-hmm. You waited a week to watch the next episode, and it kind of builds up that anticipation. It's a smart way of doing it. I do like binge watching certain shows and stuff, but when you actually have to wait, you wait, and you're wanting more. You kind of get that build up. But the downside of it is when they don't deliver.
Yeah, that's right.
That hurts the series. So that's what I said. I'm hoping this next episode's awesome.
Yeah, and if it keeps going, it's, like I said, fresh take, elements of the comic, making it kind of their own onto the big screen. Small screen, I guess, for lack of the better word.
Big flat screen.
Yeah, flat screen. But yeah, I mean, so far, I'm liking it. I like first episode's knocked it out of the park. So.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much touched on, not giving too much away in terms of spoilers and stuff in this episode. Sometimes we're bad for that.
Yeah,
but just talking about our actual general enthusiasm and excitement for finally a series that, you know, a fresh take, like I said, and you know, looking forward to, you know, the next few episodes.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us here at Blazing the Overture. We will see you guys next time.